Today John will show you how to cut a panel from the donor vehicle trunk to repair a rotted section of the 67.
So to get our bearings, we're looking at the trunk, car's on its side. I have outlined the area that is rusted. I've gone bigger than I need. It's roughly 7 inches by 7 inches. So what I'll be doing is cutting out the rusted part from here. I'll be going to the donor car and cutting that piece out and welding it back in here. So that'll be the emphasis of this YouTube. So here's that same area in the donor vehicle. Obviously you want to make sure you cut a larger than needed piece from the donor vehicle that you put into a smaller hole on the target vehicle. So the panel has been cut. Just a couple things to point out, I guess, because everyone on YouTube planet is an idiot according to lawyers and the government, but this was directly over the fuel tank, so make sure there's no fuel in it. Make sure, do what you gotta do to not blow yourself up. There's also a little bit of added pain in the ass. That's a bolt that I had to undo from underneath to get the panel out, but other than that, pretty clean extraction. So here we are with the panel being held up to where it's going. So now I got to cut the other one out and then fit the panels and do the welding. This panel, this replacement panel is not 100%, but it's a hell of a lot better than that stuff. So camera shadows, of course. Better than that. So we'll tidy it up, clean it up. You'll never know it was old. All right, so I'm ready to cut this out. I cleaned up my lines. If you remember, I've cut my panel bigger than what I need. I've come back and evaluated where the rust is, where it's getting weak. I can do here. I could go further down this way with this edge, but then I've got this to contend with, and as you probably know, welding around holes and stuff, you're just gonna make a hole bigger and blow through with the welder. So I want to stay away from that. I think I'm good, but once I cut this, we'll take a look at the cross section through here and see if it's too thin. Other than that, just it's common sense, but when you're gonna approach cutting out panels like this, just look around at what's going on, like, because you're gonna need to clean the welds up when you're done. So can you get a grinder in to grind off the welds? Are you screwing up something else when you're making your cuts? Just things to look out for when you're doing something like this. In this case, I've come off this edge enough that I know I can get a angle grinder in here to clean this up. But I will be welding it from underneath, so the top is not going to need a lot of cleanup. And then the bottom, I'll clean it up a little bit, but it's hidden by the fuel tank, so really nothing to worry about there. So let's get after it. So here's our panel test fit in. It still hasn't been cut to the size of the hole, but just stuff to point out. There was that little hole I talked about blown through with the welding. Well, it's a perfect alignment hole. I put a bolt in there that fits tightly. And so now this plate is registered correctly as far as, just as far as it being in there. The important thing is that the bolt here, that pin be in the right spot, because that holds in the fuel tank, or is used to hold the fuel tank in. So let's go around the other side and trace the hole that I cut onto the back of the silver plate. and then we can cut that. All right, so now we're on the back side. You can see that pin I was talking about that holds the fuel tank and some clamps and stuff. There's the, what would you call it, alignment pin, so to speak. And now you can see that if I trace directly from the cutout edge onto the back of the replacement plate, I'll know exactly how to cut that to fit perfectly. All right, so the panel's been marked. Just make sure, because I could have used the piece that I cut out as the template. I chose to use the hole as a template, so depending on where your pen, what the thickness of the pen is, sure you could scribe it. I'm just using a marker, but I'm going to cut to the outside edge of this, because again, the thickness of the Sharpie added, 1/16 of an inch around there. So I'm going to cut to the outside of the edge. I also have to clean up, this is a leftover piece of doubled flange, so I'll have to make sure that's peeled off before I start welding it back in. I still have to take the wire brush to get all this nonsense out of here, but pretty clean panel in general. Will do just fine. Next task, welding. So here's that patch panel basically done. I've got it primed. I wasn't finished with it. I've got a little more grinding, but as I said on that disclaimer, so to speak, in the intro, I know a lot of people are anal and they see a shitty weld and like, oh, they want to comment on it. It's like, I'm telling you, right now I've got other bigger things to do. So I'm going to, as far as welds, I'm cleaning them up probably 70% or so. And then I'm calling it good, because the plan is to sandblast the whole vehicle when the bodywork's done. And then I'll uncover other stuff at that point, and it'll also make the current welds more obvious that they need to be addressed and cleaned up and made nice and smooth. So again, that's a 80% or 70% done version of that. I had the spare tire now, very similar task to that one. I just pulled it out of the donor vehicle and patched it in here. I did realize that after I did, kind of surface grind it, that there were some holes showing through. So I just went ahead and filled those in again. So not done, but good enough. And then I moved on to other things on the vehicle. I'll readdress all of the bad looking welds much later.
Let's do another short review of some small things John has addressed.
So I've just been going around the vehicle looking for any bad spots that I can find. I've cleaned up this area in here. I found a bad spot here, so I had to put a patch in. And there was a bad spot here. And it's almost like it had been in a minor wreck or something, because this plate here was kind of deformed, so I beat that all to hell. Had to weld in a rotted panel there. I don't know if it's just metal at the time and metal has gotten better. I think that's a true statement. But boy, if you don't watch yourself, this is again 67, so it's pretty old. But man, what seemingly is good metal, you'll just burn right through it. So what should be just a simple little patch, and now all of a sudden you got a burned hole, you got to plug that hole, and then that burns out, and all of a sudden, suddenly you got a hole. It's just from hell. So just be careful. The older steel just doesn't seem to be what it is today. So again, there was another patch right there I had to put in. That leaves this whole piece loose, which I'll have to plug weld in. I'm not sure which side I'll do that from. Other areas that were bad is that's a continuation of the floorboard as it came through to this side. So that was all gone, had to put that in there. I still have those tangs to fold up and plug weld and patch that all up. Going around, we've got our, this is all good. We've got our new outer sill or rocker assembly is all done in through here. This was the fender from hell that was just 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch thick Bondo and some sort of grating, not chicken wire, but some mesh was all in here. I cut this piece from the donor vehicle. I have to put that in and then button this area up. I'm going to continue to remove this fender. I have a full fender replacement here. I've seen options because it's really tough to get in here with this T-bead in here. It's running up here. I've seen a guy that actually bonded it in with that DuPont 2-part panel bond, basically what it is. I'm not sure I'm gonna do that. As you can see here, I've left about a 1/2 inch piece that I think I'm going to just bead weld onto that and leave this T-bead intact. It's not that it's rusted anywhere up here, it's just how I want to attach that. So I'll continue that cut around here, get it all undone around the taillight assembly around here. That little corner right tucked away behind where my finger is, that's rusted, so I'll be able to get at that once this fender is gone. So that's what my next venture will be, I think.
Goodbye everyone. See you in the next episode.